how to compete, how to dismantle your competition, how to crush them like a bug when they come on your turf. We're not talking about that.
No.
Talk about a healthy journey, a disciplined, every day, slowly inching towards peace and happiness in this very competitive world.
That's what we're talking about on today's podcast with John and Courtney.
How to compete. And we're back with the Ag Natural Podcast with John and Courtney. Today we are talking about a very big topic. That topic is
competition.
How to compete.
How to compete.
What's the benefits of competition? How it's great, how it's amazing. There are no cons here.
Competition is always good.
Absolutely.
100%.
Competition with yourself, competition with your spouse, competition inside of
with your spouse?
I don't know, I'm just making up stuff.
Well, we are definitely masters of this topic, and we are here
Master competers.
to talk to you guys about how to compete and why you should compete. Okay, so first of all, why do we need competition? Why?
To make us better.
To make us better. Okay, good. So whenever you've got one business offering tacos, and then you've got a second business offering tacos.
Double tacos. Or Burger King. Burger King's offering $1 tacos now. I mean, Taco Bell better watch out. Have you seen that?
Oh, Taco Bell
the
doesn't
$1.
have to worry about
It was
anything.
the saddest thing. We were driving from Martin to Jackson, Tennessee, and we just see this empty Burger King. There's like no one in the parking lot. There's a very dim lit sign that's standing up, very lankily tall. Is so terrible. And then there it was, gangly, like tall, and then just like kind of flickering a little bit. And there's nothing. No other message but $1 taco, and it wasn't aligned perfectly. It was like off-centered.
It was the saddest thing. Whenever you've got those message boards, like everyone reads those message boards, but I think that they're like, "Hey Tony, go fix the message board," and he's like, and
hate
he
my
goes up there,
life.
he's like TACO. It was just taco. There wasn't even an S, and then he's like, next line.
Was there a $sign in there?
There wasn't a dollar sign.
It was one taco.
Period 00 1.00.
It was so sad. Like
I was like, there's one taco over there for $1.
how desperate do you have to be to offer a $1 taco at a burger joint? It's like
really
recycled. No, I was reading something about.
It's repurposed meat.
It's not even that.
It's
like
repurposed.
I think they put it inside of a blender and make a little mush out of it, and then they kind of just. They don't even sprinkle it on there. It's like injected with a syringe.
It's really too early for this.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty early in the morning. Ugh. Competition is what has driven Burger King to do the $1 taco.
Yeah.
And this is sad, but I guess the response is to diversify, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're getting beat up and you don't know what to do, and you're a burger place and you're getting beat up so bad that you're saying we have to try something else.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of people do. It's like with the coffee shop.
Okay, well, here's something that we've seen from Burger King in the past however many years. What does Burger King do well? What is Burger King known for?
Nothing.
They're known for a charboiled burger.
Oh.
They didn't start that. Now, that was Hardee's that started that. But they do offer that. And the thing that they say is have it your way. So it's a made-to-order burger, whereas these other burger places, you're going to order whatever it is on the menu. And
now,
that's
hold
what's
on.
going to
You're
come
not
your way.
giving superiority to Burger King,
What I'm trying to say is, in the past, with their marketing plans, they have doubled down on their strength.
Make it your way.
Have it your way.
Well, their mascot's really strong in all those commercials.
What's their mascot?
It's the Burger King. It's the king.
Oh, yeah.
That was really funny stuff.
That was really funny
They
stuff.
had great marketing on that.
Yeah. So they had a couple of strengths. They had a really funny, awkward king who would be there in bed with you with like cinnamon sticks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Those are hilarious. And then they had the opportunity for made-to-order menu. And somewhere along the way, they deterred from that. Okay, so they were really dominant for a while. I mean, obviously, McDonald's has always been number one if you're going to talk about fast food burgers. But they were doing a really good job, and they had a really good response. And then something happened. I don't know if they got rid of the King mascot or what, but if you go down to the Burger King in our town, it is like a ghost town.
Well, really anything. And I was reading something about this. It was like talking about the demise of Burger King, of like how much it is. And I think in competition, so say with us, there's a couple of coffee shops inside of a 50-mile radius of us, and there's one in particular that's around 50-mile radius of us that has adapted to competition to the degree of leaving what they originally was. And sometimes that's great. You know, you have to adapt or die. You know,
Right.
you really do. But you can't like adapt so much that you change what your core principles are
Absolutely.
or really what you wanted to offer.
And I want to pause you right there to say that's what Burger King did.
Mm.
Instead of doubling down and sticking to their spine, their core message, looking at their strengths and making those stronger,
What's that burger message? I got to know.
have it your way.
Yeah.
They reached out and they were like, oh, these people are doing that. We've got to add that too. They reached like they were sinking, and that was the only raft, and they were like pulling themselves up. They're like, maybe this will save my business.
More on the local level, because it's a $1 billion company, right? So we're not saying that we know more than $1 billion company, but we do.
I am saying that Burger King can call me up, and I will be happy to take their phone call, and I'll be happy to steer them in the right direction, because I was a customer for years.
Were you really?
Yeah. I like me a Junior Whopper.
Junior Whopper. Now you go to Wendy's.
Whopper Junior.
There you go.
I really enjoyed their French fries. They were delicious.
Very good. Yeah, I think on a local level too. Like, there's a coffee shop that now offers like steak. You can buy steak there.
Right.
They've changed so much. Like, there's a certain amount of adapting that you have to do to survive. Like, obviously, there's going to be tastes that change. There's going to be more demanded of coffee shops.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee shops. If you look over the growth of coffee shops in the last 40 years, like there's been this whole other wave that's been introduced, third wave coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've taken out the like super fast, high processed coffee that you can get at McDonald's, and then you've gone into more of an artisan way of preparing coffee.
Right. Right. And these people who do this, and they're not the only coffee shop who's done this. We've seen a pattern of this. People reaching out for something that's not really part of their core message. And I think that whenever you do that, it makes your coffee look like less. It makes your whole shop look like less, because you look at the menu and they're like, what's the story here? What's the purpose of this menu? What's going on? You're just trying to get any person you can into this shop. And that's fine. I love pleasing the masses. But if you're deviating so much, we're going to lose sight of who you are as a business.
This is a hard thing because sometimes people don't do the amount of, so say you're starting a business, okay, and you don't know like where to start, what you want to offer. First, you have to, not even think about, it's not about what you want. It's about what the people want. And you have to go and survey, will this idea of how to serve the general public, do they actually want that? For instance, when we first started Martin Coffee House, there's a lot of talk around, I know we've talked about this before, not even having espresso, like doing a manual brew bar.
Right.
Now, some places in Australia where there's a humongous following with coffee, the coffee culture is much elevated there. It's very high there. Stiff competition there. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's places in New York that just serve straight espresso. There's nothing else. But inside of our area, where the coffee culture is at right now, we know that wouldn't work. Now, we wanted to do that, but our idea would not work. So we had to adapt in the beginning, choosing our foundation in that. A lot of businesses, and we help them with Fernway Fox, our media design company, we help them rebrand, like reimagine what their principles are. But there is a very clear line. We are not going to. So let's bring it back to us. What would it look like, Courtney, for us to cross that line? What products would jeopardize our founding principles of what we are for our coffee shop?
Well, some people have said we need to add some burgers. They've said that we need to add some burgers to our menu. They said, I want more of a hot lunch, and I want something heartier, and I want a burger.
Yeah.
And that, burgers are great. I love burgers, but that would distract you from our coffee experience. We are a sit-down coffee shop. Mm-hmm. You can have a light lunch here. You can have a good breakfast, but this is not a place where you want
dinner. It's really not a place for dinner.
It's not a place for dinner, and it's not a place where you want to have smoke in there and have your burgers and your deep fried French fries. That's not what our shop is.
Whenever you see people who are rapidly adding things to their menu, number one, it's confusing to the consumer. Mm-hmm. It's so weird that Burger King has a taco. Now, they've done this before. Burger King, this is not the first time that Burger King has tried to launch a taco. They happen, I can't remember, I read an article on this because I was so fascinated by why is Burger King offering tacos. I think it was like a couple of years ago that they did this, and it didn't work out, and then now they're revisiting it again. But my main point is this: when you see a business that is rapidly adding items to their menu that don't connect, like they're disconnected, number one, it confuses the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, like it will make the people who joined you, who are loyal in the beginning, start to question it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a strange thing. Like if we started offering like barbecue, like at our place,
Oh my goodness.
we would get a lot of people that would come in.
Sure.
But then our crowd that's used to like no smoke, no oil, nothing fried to our menu would start to lose sight. So what you're doing is you're trying to go and get another audience, but you're jeopardizing your loyal following that you have now.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
that is when that can create a lot of turbulence with trying to grow and trying to actually have a business is when that happens. And so, you know, the how to compete, right? How to compete with other people, but really how to compete with yourself. How to be better every single day. It has to like constantly be refocused in on what is my motive? What am I trying to do? And it cannot be vague, right? Because you were talking earlier about it cannot just be, I'm here to serve the people.
Right.
The people need so much.
Mm-hmm.
What are you passionate about? What do you feel like you have a greater skill than other people at?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the niche inside of the market? And then how can I commit? And is that niche in the market big enough to support this idea?
I like that you said, what am I good at? Because you've got to start off with a little bit of a leg up. You can't say, I want to go into this with something that I have literally no experience in. It's okay if you haven't had a history in something. Everyone has to grow from somewhere. But you can't start off this business not knowing anything and serving people from day one in that mind frame. You know, you've got to start off with your strengths. Start off with your strengths and then make those strengths stronger.
You know, another point in that is, say you have this belief that you're just crazy good at something. There's a business that's already offering every single item that you're already offering,
Mm-hmm.
every single thing that you're already offering.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come in. Like, that's going to be a problem too. There has to be some originality to it. And you can have like the same menu. For instance, like our like caramel macchiato,
Mhm.
right? That's a number one drink. At Starbucks, it's a number one drink really everywhere.
Everyone loves it.
Our spin on that is an original like taste and profile for that macchiato. But it wouldn't be enough for us just to have that one drink. There has to be something that's unique about our experience in our shop. And a lot of people, when they're trying to choose, so another example, there's two people that have talked to us about moving into the space that we have downtown. We have another building downtown. It's called Lala's Boutique, which is in one side, and then we have another smaller space that's
Empty shelf.
yeah. And this really grumpy old lady actually came to me and was like, so I want to rent your space. And I said, okay, how much is it? And I told her how much it is. Is there traffic downtown? I said, yeah, I mean, you can look we're in the coffee shop. So yeah, there's traffic. Is it enough? She says, well, I'm not really sure. What are you trying to sell? I'm trying to sell repurposed clothes. I said, well, there is a boutique right next to you.
Yeah.
And then there is 5 Seasons right across the street from you. And there is Sugar and Spice, that's high end. It's not repurposed, but that's over there. And then, you know, there are a lot of these people that are selling and having these parties and pop-up shops in their downtown. So there is a lot going on. And she just looked at me like I didn't know what in the world I was talking about. She says, well, I've done this before. And I said, I'll get back to you on if the space is available or not.
That's fine. I mean, she can go for it. I mean, it's just...
Well, I don't want to work with her at all. Like, if she's going to have that type of attitude. But, like, the issue is like having this delusion of, you know, here I am, world. You know,
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I know a little bit about this. Because I've seen a lot of business owners have that attitude, and especially inside of coffee.
Do you think that they're just being, like, confident, like, put up
I don't think so.
up a tough face?
I don't know. Like, when you're competing, you obviously have to have an edge about you. You know, this is, in some way, a war, but it can't be, the rules don't still apply. You know, for instance, like they say, oh, it's fair and love and war, right? Well, you have to have decency and respect for your competitor. Mm-hmm. It has to be a fair game. Like, you don't want to, like, try to attack people, right? But
that's how I feel.
What do you feel like?
I feel like you shouldn't attack people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way too. I mean, we have been very attacked inside of our experience.
I'm not going to play a victim.
Martin.
I'm not going to do a victim story.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want anyone to feel. I mean, we've dominated this little market here. Like we're doing well. I mean, there's no reason to feel sorry for us. But we have gone through a lot of crap with like city stuff, like the rules and regulations, with like really petty back and forth business
Some petty
stuff.
business stuff.
A lot of pettiness in that.
For sure.
I don't know. I guess my main point is that knowing that there is a niche for your market and having originality inside of that is a big deal. It's okay that there's other people in the area, and maybe you can talk a little bit about like the Looking Glass that used to be downtown. And we have another coffee shop that's over by E.W. James that's in town, and what people were telling us about like not having a drive through and
Oh yeah, well some people said we went to the Looking Glass and we whenever they were headed out they had been adjusting their hours and everything, and this was a shop that I frequented very, very frequently in college. I frequented it frequently, and anyway, we went to the owner and we said, we're considering, starting up a shop, and I just want to touch base with you on that and see, if we could have your blessing, or if you could give us any advice. We'd love to learn from you.
Yeah, and I called Higher Ground, and I called Kevin, and I tried to talk to him about like roasting. And I honest to God, I did that, and we had a good he's a really nice guy. Like had a nice conversation, the owner of that. And I remember people telling us, and kind of what I want to specifically talk about, was there's a lot of discouragement inside of the community with not necessarily you gotta separate it, right? Like there's consumers like in the population, and then there is like business owners in there, and then there's city officials, right? And kind of like the city officials and all of that have a different take on businesses coming in than the consumer.
So like one thing for us we found right away is after we had that conversation with Miss Kim, and she was like, yeah, like no problem. You can come in and you can shadow me. Like I can open up my books, whatever. She showed us the back, helped us out with some equipment. She had such a huge hand in us opening. But even before we opened, she was telling people, whenever I close, everyone go over there to Martin Coffee House.
Wow.
And I know that's huge, but she had already made the decision at that meeting. She said, I'm going to be closing my doors. This is great because now I can kind of pass on the torch. It was a very great relationship. And people had said, just kind of without even knowing the story, they were commenting on Facebook of our announcement of like, we're going to open. We don't have much, but we've got a name, I got a name, all that stuff. And we had some people who said, I can't believe someone else would try to open up a coffee shop instead of giving their business to one of the other businesses in town. Yeah. And saying like, with Looking Glass is going, away, like they're going to be closing their doors. Why would you open up your own thing instead of helping them? And the thing is like, they didn't even know like, oh, Miss Kim was done with that chapter, like just because there is another business in town or there are multiple coffee shops in town doesn't take away my desire and my passion to start my own coffee shop.
Let me talk about that because the biggest thing inside of understanding how a population operates is it is very socialistic. People want more options. And if you coming into a market jeopardizes their options inside of that, that's going to be a problem for them. You have to be able to really have your own thing. And nowadays, like, because we named our Cuban after Miss Kim. Yeah. She helped us out so much.
She helped us out so much in the beginning. We called it the Kim's Cuban.
Yeah, it's called the Kim's Cuban. And that's an homage to her shop. We have her couch in our shop by the window. And we really tried to be sensitive to saying, honoring all the advice that she gave us, honoring everything that they have given us, everything that she'd given us, and then moving to this new shop. And it was great to see all of her loyal customers start frequenting our shop before it was even open.
Right.
Like they really helped us out. Like Miss D, like she's amazing. Like she's come in nearly every day for the past like 2 years. Right. Like I saw her account the other day and it was like hundreds of visits. It was so cool to like see someone that has supported us that much. But, we were discouraged. Like, the community, like in the beginning viewed us as encroaching upon the options that they had. And inside of this how to compete world, you have to appeal to everybody. You have to be friendly to your competition. If you wage war, you'll die. doesn't matter. Like, you're the one who loses everything. Because it's the population, it's the people who you're trying to serve that you're not giving value to anymore, because you're jeopardizing their options.
Absolutely.
So originality is, you have to have it. And we're talking about like grasping, right? So like, you can tell when a business is not doing well when they, number one, start changing up all their menu items, because they gotta get more. What am I gonna do? I gotta get more people in the store. I gotta
maybe I could try this.
I gotta add tacos in my menu. I gotta do all this stuff, right? And then secondly, when they start mirroring their competition inside of social, like if there's a post for post, and you can see like the times that they post, if you can see the content that they post, and it's just like post, and you can see like that. And there is a story that I'm a part of, like a group page on.
Oh, I'm really glad you're going to tell this story.
Yeah, so I'm a part of a really big group page on Facebook. They have like over 3,000 coffee shop owners, people who want to start coffee shops.
And I want to just go ahead and say, it's really a really great group. And if you are thinking about starting a business, or if you have a business, you would be surprised about the community out there. You can find community like people to people in your actual town, but that's why we have Facebook too, because there's so many people out there who are going through the same thing, who have so many questions, and you'd be surprised how much support you can get. So anyway, go ahead.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. And inside of local towns, sometimes the welcome is not very strong. We have been fortunate in that Miss Kim opened up her shop to us and showed us her books in that. I did have one pleasant conversation with our competition here, and then everything else kind of went a different way. But I was searching for more answers, and I had a lot to share too, because we run a profitable coffee shop for 2 years, and a lot of people were asking us questions on how we did that, how do we have our marketing, how do we have our menu. Anyway, I joined the group. There is a guy who is expressing a lot of stress and concern with his coffee shop and the competition that was coming into his town a couple blocks away. The biggest issue that he was having was that there was a very aggressive coffee shop, soon-to-be owner, that was demanding his vendor list, that was demanding his layout,
Which is ridiculous.
That was demanding pictures of all of his equipment. And he, of course, told them no. And it escalated to the point that, he said that he worked like 5 days a week. He took 1 day off from the shop, and he went away for his day off from the shop. And then those same people came in. It was really pressuring the people behind the counter. And the staff members kind of freaked out and just agreed. And so they let them behind the counter.
No.
And those people took pictures of everything and got that. And he was telling the story, and he was expressing to the group, I feel so angry and violated in a sense, and I don't know how to respond to this.
Yeah.
Everybody in that group, the majority, was jumping on, sue them, file a police report, do this, go to their business, release mice, something. There's some crazy stuff like, mobilize your following, attack them, leave bad reviews.
Wow.
And then I wrote, and I said, listen, you need to promote them. You need to proverbially give them a hug. You need to promote their grand opening. You need to welcome them inside the community. You don't give them your vendor list. Don't do that. But go shake their hand. Go make nice. Give them a hug.
Because go play in a sandbox.
Yeah, if your community sees you waging war on somebody new, it will always come back to bite you. And the fact is that you can get a layout on Google. You can just go find it. It's not a difficult thing. There's a lot of people who've published their blueprints. A lot of architectural firms and design firms, they're cookie cutter coffee shops. You can go get them. And a lot of them are very intelligent because they have the amount of space that a person takes up. So if you're figuring out you want a seating arrangement for 20 people, it will equate to what your HVAC unit should be, what your bathroom situation should be, the flow, all of that's already figured out. You can go get that right now. Your vendor list is extremely valuable, but people can go find that. So just because someone has all the information doesn't mean they can pull it off.
Right.
And the fact is that the majority of people who, are aggressive like that will go out of business in a couple of years. They're going to be very annoying, for probably a good year, and they will take business. But your community is being bettered because they have options. And if you can just focus on being the better option while not deviating from your original menu, original mission and goal, but doubling down on that.
Exactly.
Give a purpose to why you serve, and that will always win out. And I wrote all that out, and I wrote that and posted that. And there was some seasoned coffee, much more experienced than I am, that really agreed with that and echoed that again and told their own stories of composition. Because you have to realize that unoriginal people will always be grasping.
Always.
They'll always be grasping. And they cannot replicate originality. And it will always be a copy. And a copy is diluted, right? If you're going to copy anything, it's going to be diluted in some sense. So don't fall into the trap of diluted people, unoriginal people that are grasping to have what you have, and then your reaction to that playing into it, because it's a trap.
Right. And it's just going to make you look bad.
You talked about in one of the podcasts before, I can't remember which one, about the difference between a reaction and a response.
Right.
Talk to them about that. I mean, because
yeah, it's really important that whenever someone is there to bite you or someone is challenging you in some way, that instead of a quick reaction and saying something that could potentially be hurtful to them or to your business or make you look bad or be just a painful thing to say or do, it's much better to pause a moment and come up with a formulated response. There's a difference, it happens a lot in fighting with people, relationships or big brother or whatever, and I'm going to hurt you more. I'm going to react. I'm going to fight.
So human.
It is. But instead of that reaction, you need to. It's like what's impulse or what is it? Whenever you hit your little knee in the
reflection.
Reflection.
It's a reflex.
Reflex. Thank you.
Yeah.
Reflex.
Reflection.
Reflection. Let's reflect on this.
It's a reflection of your character, I guess.
Yeah, it is. But a reaction is a reflex instead of a response. And I think that responses you can stand behind and you can say, no, I do mean what I said. And you won't be sorry for it later.
Yeah, think about this too. I mean, part of it's human nature. Like when you're being attacked, you have a reflex. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to sit down. But when you have a habit of being aggressive, when you have a habit of, I'm going to preemptively, plan their demise, I'm going to dismantle them. I'm going to do that. You create, okay, Courtney, you can't tell right now on the podcast, but she's looking at me with this look like, sounds familiar. Yes. Okay. I've had that in my past. I'm not all the way through with it. I'm a human being. I'm a very competitive person.
Yes, you are.
I have thought a lot about this and I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm still making them daily. I am a competitive person. I do have a reflex of responding in the wrong way.
Reacting in the wrong way.
I don't put enough thought inside of my actions sometimes, but I'm very much like working on that. And
you are.
The
You're
reason
doing a lot better too.
The reason why I'm working on that is because I've seen how damaging it is. And I know that it gets in the way of giving value to our community. And in the end, that's what it's all about. And so when I told him that and the other people backed me up, he responded and he was like something like, I don't know if I can do that, because you can imagine being filled with that rage.
I would be so angry. A vendor list takes years to create. And we work so hard on our vendor list.
We X'd out a lot of vendors like that were just bad for us.
We tried so many different people. Do you remember?
Lots of money. It costs a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. We tried so many different things, and we thought, anytime we found someone else, it was just a victory. Like, hey, we found someone for bread. Hey, do you remember that process? Hey, we found someone for cups.
And then it didn't work out.
Hey,
and
we found, someone for, we always had someone for coffee. That was our first step. Someone for milk. It's just been such a process. And for someone to come in and say, I'm stealing that list, that is so, so wrong.
They're just weak people, though. Like,
lazy.
number one, that type of cutting corners is going to come out inside of their product.
Yeah, because
that type of
they don't have reasoning behind it. They're just copying just to copy because they don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
But I promise that these people who came up with this vendor list, they have reasons for weeding out other options.
How to compete is with having discipline.
Exactly.
And with committing to a schedule and with being who you are and having that character about you no matter what other people come into your space. because you have to constantly work every single day to post on social every day, to have consistency with product every single day, and that will always beat them out. The way to having a business, to accomplishing anything, is really survival. You know, there's gonna be a lot of times that you're not gonna be thriving. The majority of your journey is not gonna be thriving. For the first 5 years, you're not gonna be thriving.
A lot of it's just sustaining. Like, I think about it like a long hike or whatever. It makes me think about...
Gotta be that tortoise, right? Slow and steady wins the race.
Well, sure. But like, there are times on that long hike where you're gonna put in something extra. You know, we've got a hill. Let's take the hill a little bit harder. And there are other times where it's like, people who run or hike get it. I'm just on autopilot right now. I'm just running right now, or I'm just hiking right now. And it's not extra effort as much. It's just like, I just have to keep moving forward. I'm not going to be excelling or building right now. I'm just going to be continuing right now. And that's something that
I agree.
That's just part of the process.
Here's the danger.
Knowing when you charge the hill and when you just walk.
I totally agree with you. It's planning for the lows. For instance, we've charted out in our data like when the low months are as far as business wise. Well, think about it like this. And okay, I'm going to admit that I have done this on purpose. Okay. All right. I know when coffee goes down in Martin, Tennessee.
Coffee sales.
I know when coffee sales go down in Martin, Tennessee. I know when the traffic leaves. I know what day, on specifically what times. I know. Okay. I also know that I've been mirrored and I have people copying. So I, on purpose, have bought product. I have saved product. And
John Sellers.
Just listen. I'm sorry. I have launched product in low times based upon money that I've made in high times and just set on it, knowing that they would mirror and then having a deficit in the months to come. Okay? I'm just letting you know for being honest sake, because the point I'm trying to make is this. It is a mountain, and it's not straight up. It's up and it's down. And you have to save in the high times for the low times. Because every time that there's a good day, there's a bad one coming. And it's not the view of, impending doom. It's saying, I know that January, February are low by X amount of dollars. Therefore, I'm going to watch labor. I'm not going to spend any money in the high times to get the low times. So, just want to make that point. But there is a trap for people who copy.
John is so aggressive.
Because original people, like me, will notice that and will set another This is defeating the point. It's defeating the point that we're trying to talk about.
This is so aggressive, John Sellers.
Okay, the thing is, you got to focus on yourself. You really do. And
Look out for number one.
Look out for number one. Get some. No. Courtney would very much emphasize, and I'm sure she will in just like 2 seconds, that this whole competing thing, this business thing, even with other people inside of the room, inside of your industry, it is a daily walk with yourself. It is a focusing on yourself. It is a response focused on yourself and your principles inside of this journey. The only thing that I would add to that is there is a time to stand up, and there is a time. For instance, that those people who came in that shop of that person on the Facebook group page, they should have been told to get lost, and there should have been a big response in a personal, outside in the alley type of way, not publicly on social type of way.
Right.
You got to know where to fight. And it's not on social. You got to know strategically how to respond. You know what I mean? Because people know when you're being passive.
Yeah.
Like we've had customers come into our shop and be like, is everything okay with insert name? They seem really kind of aggressive. It's like,
yeah, they are aggressive.
Yeah, that's who they are. But anyway.
Is there a way that people compete with themselves?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm talking like, not business. I'm just talking about you versus you. What would you tell someone who wants to compete against themselves?
I don't know. I don't have a very healthy relationship with that, to be honest. I get so caught up in like, I'm kind of down on myself. It's like, I feel a lot of the times like I don't deserve to sleep. So I'm kind of the extreme in that. It's just a betterment of every day. Leave every situation better than you left it. Like
better than you found it.
Sure. Yeah. Better than you found it. Like I mean that inside of like a physical sense. Like I just woke up, I'm gonna make my bed. I just left this room, I'm gonna grab whatever just like out there, progressing inside of your projects. Like, right, I did 3 films in the past week, so I'm really pushing on production. And so if you're in a constant state, he only give me a direct answer. Sorry for the whole little roundabout. If you're competing with yourself, it is a constant state of progression, constant state of learning, constant state of creativity and exploration. For instance, in the past month, 2 weeks ago, actually, we just developed this whole new color grading style for our films. Whole other way.
It's very good. It's very exciting.
Inside of our photography and our film. Why? Because we're constantly consuming and trying to learn and applying things to ourselves. All of this whole world can interconnect with the value that you're trying to give. You just have to see how it all connects. And if your mind is constantly on that, how can I be better? What can I do? What small little incremental change can I make to start me down the path of being better than I am? That's what it means. It's a discipline thing.
Yeah.
And I struggle with discipline all the time. Like, I struggle with, I want to do a podcast every single day. I want to do a vlog every single day. I want to do I want my business to exceed to this number goal every single day. And I'll put all that into a big old whatever and a big old rock, and then it would just crush me all the time because I'm pushing that rock up the mountain, right? And it just keeps on getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
I love these metaphors.
And then one day I miss, and then boom, that's double the load, right?
Oh, man. So, and you are going tumbling down.
And I'm going tumbling down, yeah. Get crushed by all of it. And then I'm weaker to be able to do the next day's goal, right? Yeah. So I struggle with that. We're very efficient people. Like, I think we get a lot done for the time that we've been blessed with. But at that, it's not a very healthy thing. About self-care, you have to know your own limits with that. Know how much that you can give. Wouldn't you say?
I would, yeah. It's important to give yourself a lofty goal instead of just saying, I need to be better. Well, how? So that you can measure that. Because if you just say, yeah, I'm going to compete against myself, I'm going to be better than yesterday, and then you look at the other day and you're like, I wasn't better yesterday, I wasn't better at all, you're just going to feel bad. You're going to feel like you failed. But if you tell yourself, I am going to do this 4 times today or 3 times today, or I'm going to go call that person, and then you do that, then there's a way of measuring those steps. And I think that you feel a lot better and you can see the growth.
I agree. In the last podcast that we had, it was how to set goals that stick. And you talked in length about that, about how to set those proper goals, breaking them up into little
manageable increments.
Yeah, manageable increments, and then walking through that in a healthy way, knowing that you're going to fail, knowing that that's going to happen, but then still not letting that discourage you from getting better. So we've been talking about how to compete, right? How to compete. Having a personal competition with yourself set inside of proper incremental goals based inside of discipline to walk forward. Competing is a very competitive thing. So realizing that and then not reacting in a reflex of aggression when things do get tense, because they always will.
Yeah.
Because we're in a battle, right? We're in a battle. Focusing on the reason why you exist, which is to serve. If you're in competition, you're in competition for attention, a competition for the people. You want a reaction out of people. You want them to do something, your population, which makes whatever your dream is exist, right? So it's all about how much value that you give. So we're readdressing our value points and what we do, and remembering that we're not going to let the lack of attention to us change our whole reasoning for existence and offering steak at a coffee shop,
or
right?
Or
a taco at Burger King.
We're not going to grasp our straws.
These are a few things on how to compete. It's really, if you had to sum it up in kind of a couple of lines, Courtney, I would believe that you would say.
Yeah.
It's about yourself, right?
Yeah. It's about bettering yourself and offering the community more.
Absolutely. This has been great, talking about how to compete on the Ag Natural Podcast with John and Courtney. We'll see you guys
next time.
Bye.
Bye.